This city was once overcrowded, chaotic, so they built a new one right beside it. Edinburgh is unlike any other capital. On one side stands the Old Town, a dense medieval maze of castles, churches, and markets. On the other, the New Town, a product of the Enlightenment with wide avenues and elegant squares. Together, they form a UNESCO World Heritage Site for showing how two very different visions of urban life can coexist. In this video, explore how history, architecture, and culture turned Edinburgh into one of the most remarkable urban landscapes in the world. Edinburgh sits on Scotland's eastern coast, looking out over the Firth of Forth and the North Sea. It may not be the country's largest city, but as its capital, it has always been a gateway between the Highlands, the Lowlands, and the wider world. To get here, it's easy. If you arrive by train, Waverley Station drops you right in the middle. Old Town on one side, New Town on the other. From the airport, there's a direct tram to Princes Street. And once you're in the center, most of Edinburgh's landmarks are walkable. Castle Rock. That's where all started. The entire Old Town was built along this ridge, and it's not by chance. The rock gave protection. High ground, clear views, easy to defend. Today, this volcanic ridge shapes everything. From the castle at the top to the palace at the bottom, it forms one straight line, the Royal Mile. And that's how we're going to explore the city, step by step, from the fortress down to the Parliament. Before it was Edinburgh, this was Din Eiden, a fortified hill used by the Godadin people over 1,500 years ago. From up here, you could see the Firth of Forth and every route that mattered. Trade, travel, invasions, everything passed through that coastal gap. This wasn't a city. It was a strategic outpost, a cluster of timber buildings, probably surrounded by earthworks or wooden palisades. By the 7th century, the fortress was under threat. The Angles from the south pushed in and captured it. That's when the name changed, from Din Eiden to Edinburgh. Over time, the hill evolved from tribal stronghold to medieval power center. After centuries as a lookout point, the hill turned into a proper fortress. Edinburgh Castle, as we know it today, began taking shape in the 12th century. The oldest surviving part is St. Margaret's Chapel, built around 1130. It's small, simple, and still standing, tucked into the highest part of the castle. Over the next few centuries, walls, towers, and royal quarters were added. Kings were crowned here. Battles were fought from these ramparts. During the Wars of Independence, the castle changed hands multiple times between the Scots and the English. By the 16th century, it had become a symbol of royal authority. But it wasn't just ceremonial. It was heavily armed, with cannons and barracks. The Half Moon Battery, built after a siege in 1573, still points its guns outward. This place was designed to be tough. Then came a shift. In the 20th century, the castle became a space for memory, not just defense. After World War I, Scotland built its National War Memorial inside the castle walls. It opened in 1927 and honors those who died in both world wars and later conflicts. It's quiet, respectful, and open to anyone visiting the site. Today, the castle is one of Scotland's most visited landmarks. It holds the crown jewels, the Stone of Destiny, and the royal apartments. It's also where the famous 1 o'clock gun is fired daily, a tradition that started in 1861 to help ships in the harbor set their clocks. But beyond the displays and ceremonies, this rock still does its original job. It holds your attention, controls your view, and sets the tone for everything below. From here, the Royal Mile begins. But it's not just a street, it's the spine of the Old Town, the original heart of Edinburgh. The name came later, after the new town was built in the 18th century, but this was the entire city for centuries. It grew organically along the ridge. Streets here don't follow a grid. Instead, they twist and slope, adapting to the landscape. Most of the buildings are tall, narrow, and closely packed, creating a layered effect. That's what gives the Old Town its distinct silhouette: spiky roof lines, chimneys, and dark stone rising sharply from the ground. Life here wasn't easy. With no room to expand outward, everything was built up. By the 1600s, Edinburgh had some of the tallest residential buildings in Europe. People lived in cramped conditions, with entire families occupying a single room. Waste was thrown into the streets, water was scarce, and fires were a constant threat. Disease spread quickly. But this was also a place of constant activity. Traders shouting in the markets, students rushing to lectures, and politicians debating in taverns. It was chaotic, crowded, and alive. And that intensity still shapes the character of the Old Town today. Walk a few minutes down, and you reach St. Giles's Cathedral. That's the High Kirk of Edinburgh. It's been here since the 12th century, though most of what you see now is later. This church isn't just religious, it's political. During the 16th century, it became the heart of the Scottish Reformation. John Knox, the leader of that movement, preached right here. He helped turn Scotland from Catholic to Protestant, changing not just how people worshipped, but how they thought about power, government, and daily life. Today, St. Giles Cathedral is still an active church. It hosts services, concerts, and major civic events. Inside, you'll find beautiful stained glass, carved stonework, and the Thistle Chapel, a small, ornate space used by Scotland's highest order of chivalry. It's open to the public and free to enter. Halfway down the Royal Mile, there's a building that most visitors walk past without noticing: Parliament House. From the outside, it blends in. But this was once the center of Scottish political power. Built in the 1630s, it housed the Parliament of Scotland until the Acts of Union in 1707, when Scotland and England joined under a single parliament in London. After that, the building didn't lose its function, it shifted. It became home to the Court of Session, Scotland's supreme civil court, and it still serves that purpose today. Next to it is the General Assembly Hall. This is where the Church of Scotland holds its annual meeting. Built in the 19th century, it became a stage for major national debates, not just religious but social and moral. During World War II, it even hosted the temporary Scottish Parliament for a brief period. From here, the mile continues down, but the density doesn't ease. In fact, the space tightens again as we reach the next pressure point: the old markets and the nightlife zones. At the foot of the ridge, where the Old Town opens into a wider bowl, you reach the Grass Market, the West Port, and the Cowgate. These lower streets form the working base of the city. If the Royal Mile was for courts, churches, and officials, this was where trade, labor, and daily life happened. The Grass Market was once a livestock market, hence the name. It was also a site for public executions, including that of Covenanters during the religious struggles of the 17th century. Today, the area is lined with restaurants, pubs, and boutique hotels. Nearby, the West Port marked the western gate of the city walls, where travelers and goods entered Edinburgh. It links the west end of the Old Town to more residential and university areas like Lauriston Place and the University of Edinburgh campus. But traces of the past remain: stone vaults, arches, and tight passageways that remind you how easily fire, water, and overcrowding once shaped life here. Now is a mix of restored buildings, new developments, and academic spaces. The university presence brings libraries, cultural centers, and a steady student flow. The Cowgate, running parallel to the Mile but at a much lower level, became home to merchants, immigrants, and students. Because of its location, this area was always under pressure, physically and socially. Built in the shadow of taller streets with limited sunlight and poor drainage, it was densely packed, often damp and vulnerable to fire. Today, the Cowgate is part of the city's nightlife scene, especially during the Edinburgh Festival. As the Royal Mile stretches east, it crosses an invisible line from the Old Burg into Canongate. This lower section was once a separate town, with its own identity and its own town hall, the Canongate Toll Booth. Built in the late 1500s, the toll booth served as a council chamber, courthouse, and jail. Today, it's a small museum, but the clock tower still marks where Edinburgh ends and royal ground begins. At the base of the Mile stands the Palace of Holyrood House. Originally an Augustinian abbey founded in the 12th century, it became a royal residence in the 1500s. The ruined abbey still sits beside the palace, roofless, weathered, and open to visitors. Inside the palace, several rooms are linked to key moments in Scottish history. The royal apartments were occupied by Mary, Queen of Scots, in the 1560s, during a period marked by political tension, shifting alliances, and religious conflict. Across from the palace is the Scottish Parliament. Opened in 2004, it's modern, angular, and deliberately different. Its design sparked debate, but it makes a clear point. This isn't a return to old rule. It's a new kind of governance. The building is open to the public, with free tours and glass-fronted chambers that emphasize transparency. Leaving Holyrood, the Royal Mile narrows and ends, but the city doesn't. To move forward, you have to cross what used to be a natural barrier, the Norloch. Once a foul, stagnant lake, it filled the valley north of the Old Town. It was drained in the 18th century, turning a swamp into usable land and changing the shape of Edinburgh for good. To bridge this gap, engineers built the North Bridge. Opened in 1772, it linked the Old Town to the rising New Town. Below it, the Waverley Valley became the site of the city's main train station. Today, North Bridge carries traffic, trams, and people between two worlds, medieval on one side, Georgian on the other. Nearby, another man-made connection rises, the Mound. It's not a natural hill. It was formed using earth dug out during the construction of the new town. The slope made it possible to walk or ride from the old ridge to the new flatlands without descending all the way to the valley floor. Sitting right on the mound are the National Galleries of Scotland. The main building, designed in the neoclassical style, opened in 1859. It houses an impressive collection of European and Scottish art, from 1859 Renaissance paintings to modern works. Admission is free, and inside you'll find pieces by Botticelli, Rembrandt, and Turner, as well as major Scottish artists like Raeburn and Wilkie. The galleries are more than a museum. They're a midpoint. On one side, the Old Town skyline. On the other, the ordered grid of the New Town. From here, you can see both directions clearly. And that's the real shift. Edinburgh didn't expand randomly. It crossed the void on purpose, carving a direct path between its two faces, old and new, tradition and reinvention. In the mid-17th century, Edinburgh faced a problem. The Old Town was overcrowded, unsanitary, and running out of space. The answer wasn't to rebuild, but to start fresh. In 1767, a young architect named James Craig proposed a radical idea: a new town, planned from scratch, on the flat land north of the Norloch. The layout was simple and symmetrical. 3 parallel streets, Princes Street, George Street, and Queen Street, ran east to west, joined by wide cross streets. At each end, a square, St. Andrew's Square to the east, Charlotte Square to the west. This wasn't just about comfort, it was about image. The new town would reflect Enlightenment values, rationality, order, balance. Princes Street faced south, giving clear views of the old town skyline. George Street became the grand civic spine. Queen Street, quieter and more residential, looked north toward the Firth of Forth. Between them stood elegant townhouses, often 3 or 4 stories, with high ceilings, private gardens, and neoclassical facades. The new town remains one of the best preserved Georgian districts in Europe. It's not a museum. It's still alive. Banks, shops, restaurants, offices, and apartments fill the grid. Walk from St. Andrew to Charlotte Square, and you'll notice the rhythm. Wide streets, clean lines, and a sense of calm that contrasts sharply with the old town's intensity. But Edinburgh didn't stop at street level, because once the ground was planned, the city needed symbols. Look up from Princes Street, and the skyline changes again, this time with monuments that reach for the sky. Each one tells a different story, but together, they shape how the city presents itself from a distance. First, the Scott Monument. Built in the 1840s, it honors Sir Walter Scott, one of Scotland's most celebrated writers. It's tall, dark, and full of detail, almost Gothic in style. With 287 steps, you can climb to the top for a panoramic view of the city. It's the largest monument to a writer anywhere in the world, and it sits right in the heart of the new town. Then, shift your view east to Calton Hill. That's where the Nelson Monument stands, built in the early 1800s to commemorate Admiral Horatio Nelson's victory and death at the Battle of Trafalgar. Shaped like an upturned telescope, it also served a practical role. A time ball on top would drop each day at 1 p.m., coordinated with the 1 o'clock gun from the castle, to help ships in the Firth of Forth set their clocks. Nearby is the National Monument. This one stands unfinished. Inspired by the Parthenon in Athens, it was meant to honor Scottish soldiers who died in the Napoleonic Wars. Construction began in 1826, but money ran out. Only 12 columns were ever completed. Some saw it as a failure, others as a bold symbol. Either way, it earned the nickname Edinburgh's Disgrace. These 3 structures do more than fill the skyline. They reflect ambition, memory, and national identity, from literature to war to architectural dreams. But while most of them rise from the calm order of the new town, one sharp spire still dominates the old town silhouette. That's the Tolbooth Kirk, now known as the Hub, stands out along the Royal Mile with its tall, dark spire, the highest point in central Edinburgh. Originally built in the 1840s as a church for the General Assembly of the Church of Scotland, it was never a traditional parish church. Instead, it served more as a ceremonial and administrative space. Over time, its role shifted, and today it functions as the main venue and headquarters of the Edinburgh International Festival. Walk the Royal Mile from end to end, and you've seen more than a city. You've walked through centuries of strategy, belief, conflict, and reinvention. What makes Edinburgh different is how visibly those layers still work together. The fortress still guards the skyline. The courts still hear cases. The parliament still debates. The churches still hold services. And between them, people live, study, and cross the same narrow streets every day. That's exactly why UNESCO designated the old and new towns of Edinburgh as a World Heritage Site in 1995. The recognition is based on 2 criteria. First, criterion number 2, for the remarkable way the city illustrates the exchange of ideas in architecture and urban planning, from the medieval layout of the old town to the Enlightenment-driven rational grid of the new town. And second, Criterion number 4. Because these two parts of the city, side by side, form an exceptional example of how urban growth can respect the past while creating space for new ways of living. In Edinburgh, nothing replaces what came before. It just gets built alongside it. The ridge holds, the plan holds, and the question remains, in a city that's always balanced old and new, what will the next layer look like? If you enjoyed the walk through Edinburgh's history, let us know in the comments. What part of the city caught your attention most? Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and check out the full playlist for more heritage stories from around the world. And if you're ready for the next journey, the suggested video on screen is already waiting for you.